So you have a big decision to make. Not just any decision, but one of those stay up late at night, gut-wrenching decisions that impact your life. Do I continue the course and stay, or do I let something go? These are hard choices. A client of mine asked me recently, what do I do with my business? How do I make a decision about whether I continue after having invested years of time and energy and effort into a business that's not making money? Or when do I accept that it's not working and let go? These are tough choices. They're tough decisions to make, not just in business, but in life. When do I give up that project? When do I give up that role? When do I change that relationship because it's simply not working? Or should I continue pushing on and hoping for breakthrough? So that's what we're going to talk about today. And I'm going to talk about a counterintuitive, surprising way in which you might make decisions about the big things in life that might be a bit out of the box, that might be a little bit more intuitive or even spiritual, using what we call Kairos moments. Here's the thing, big decisions are almost always emotional decisions, and yet we tend to lean fully on reason and logic and thinking in order to make them. But we're not just rational beings, we're not just heads on sticks. We are emotional, we're spiritual, we're relational beings, and sometimes we need to draw on the relational, spiritual, emotional data in our lives to make those intuitive, gut feel decisions that actually help us move forward in a landscape of clutter. Now, I'm totally for rational, logical thinking. In fact, I would suggest that if you have a big decision to make, you probably need to start there. Books like Decisive by Dan and Chip Heath are a great way to start, but you might have a pros and cons list, you might mind map your options, you might brainstorm options, you might ask rational questions like, what would my best friend say? Or if this option was taken off the table, how might I make a choice? I do believe in using your brain to actually work out what comes next, but sometimes you still get stuck. You've poured so much time and love, sometimes years of your life, into a project or a business or an endeavor or a relationship that simply is not heading the direction you'd ever dreamed of or hoped, where it's not good for you and maybe it's not good for others. And so how do you then pause, accept where you're at, and listen for the Kairos? And I'm going to show you how to do that in this video. So if you haven't watched my previous videos about Kairos moments, well, what is a Kairos moment? Kairos is a Greek word for time. The ancient Greeks had two words for time, or a number of them, but the two I like are chronos and kairos. Chronos, which is the root of chronological time. Chronos is TikTok time, it's clock time. It's the type of time that's counted in minutes and seconds and hours. It's the type of time that you live by day when you wake up to get to the bus, when you have to get to that particular meeting at 10:30 a.m. and when you have to get your emails done by a certain time of the day. We live our lives by chronos time. We understand that well. It's the basis of what I teach in time management. But then there's a second term, a different term, one that is a bit unusual to us, at least in English, and it's Kairos. And Kairos is the Greek term for time, but it's a significant moment in time. It's a moment that has meaning and significance. It's the Kairos that you look back on at the end of your life and think, well, these are the moments I remember. I remember the moment where I married my wife. I remember the moment where I had my child. I remember the moment I fell over and broke my leg. I remember the moment I got that redundancy. I remember the moment where I found my new love. We don't live our life by chronos time. We don't remember the meetings and the emails and the tasks and the small, minute things we do with our everyday lives. I mean, we have to do these things. But when it comes to the rub of time and what adds meaning, it's the Kairos. And so we need to learn to pay attention to those positive and negative Kairos moments, the ones that stand out, that give us guidance and direction. And we need to reflect on them and learn what they mean. If you're interested in learning more about metacognition and what it looks like to reflect deeply, I actually have a video on that as well. And here's the thing about Kairos, which is kind of weird to our modern Western ears. You can't manufacture them. You can't create them. I mean, sure, you can have that holiday and you can, I don't know, create that incredible event, and it can become a Kairos. But the Kairos moments that are guiding, that help you detect your calling and life's meaning, they often happen to you. Our role isn't to create Kairos moments. Our role isn't to actually create the meaning to our lives. Our role, in my mind, and I think the ancient Greeks would agree, is to actually pay attention to your surroundings, to pay attention to the Kairos. In ordinary language, we might talk about paying attention to those serendipitous moments or sliding door moments that actually change our mindset and lead us into a different direction. In religious terms, we might talk about the whisper of God or listening to the voice of God. But however you interpret the Kairos, it's important that you're paying attention, that you're listening, understanding the spiritual and relational data in your life, because that's what can guide you in those big decisions. They're the aha moments that change your mind and then lead to different types of acting. So let me give you an example. One of the biggest pivots in my life came in the pandemic of 2020. And we had been building a business, Spacemakers, around strategic planning, working with lots of companies and organizations to help them think about their next 3 to 5 years and what it might look like to create a plan on a page. We had created something of a successful business, we had great methodologies, and we had a series of clients who wanted to work with us for strategic planning. And then the pandemic hit, and we lost all of our clients almost overnight, because who wants to write a 5-year strategic plan during a pandemic? It was super tough, like it was for many of us. We found ourselves with no income, with no business, no clients, and wondering what comes next. And the natural, rational, reasonable response would have been to dive into online training, online coaching, e-learning, especially since we were really well set up for that. We already had e-learning courses. We were already well set up for Zoom and video conferencing, and everyone else was starting to do it, but we could have gotten in there fast. And yet there was like something in my gut that felt like that wasn't right. It was a feeling, it wasn't rational. Every time Tim and I met to talk about how we might promote our online courses like Email Ninja or Priority Samurai, just didn't feel right. And so I paid attention to the Kairos. So we paused, and true to our message, Tim and I, my business partner, decided to make space. There was enough money in the bank to kind of ride it out for about 4 weeks. And so rather than go online, we just waited. I'm a religious person, so I prayed, we reflected, we thought, we made space, and just tried to pay attention to the Kairos. And then it came. In that space, there was room for me to detect another Kairos. A bigger Kairos came, and it came when I was reading the news. I was actually reading the ABC News, and I saw a picture of the globe. And on this picture, there were lots of circles and lots of dots, which represented the pandemic spreading globally. And the great sense I had was fear. Everyone was fearful. I was fearful for my own job, but also for what would come next. And into my mind, there was another word that popped up. It was like an intuitive feeling that became an idea. That was my big Kairos. And it was hope. What if we could use this moment to somehow spread hope, not fear? And in particular, what if we could somehow use the internet to spread hope across the globe to help and encourage people who are feeling fearful and wondering what to do next, just like me? And that was my Kairos. It was like a stone in my shoe. I could not shake it. I went to sleep, I woke up, and I thought about hope. Every conversation I had kind of pointed in that direction. What if we used the internet to help people meet as groups to spread hope? And so I just gave something a go. I had a formula that I'd kind of adapted. And so I got my own group of 3 friends together. And I said, hey, let's meet and talk online because we have to go into isolation anyway. We met once a week. We shared what we were thankful for. We shared challenges. We committed to help people in need that week. We shared stories of hope from the life of Jesus because of our beliefs. And then we just encouraged each other to kind of go and be people of hope. And it worked. And in fact, it worked so well that others wanted me to train them. And so I started to train people. And then someone sponsored me and paid for me to train people. And then eventually we had so many people wanting to start hope groups that I ended up with employees and a new website and a new organization and a non-profit, which ended up spreading hope groups all around the world during the pandemic. We saw people starting groups in Mongolia, in Africa, in America, in Canada, like in the most random places. And people wrote to me and shared about how these online hope groups had encouraged them and supported them during this pandemic. I mean, how cool is that? And I would never have done any of that through my rational thinking. I would have never have done any of that if I'd suddenly gone online and sold e-learning products during a pandemic. Because sometimes when we make space, when we pause, when we listen to the spiritual, the emotional, the Kairos moments and allow them to guide us, well, then we can actually find ways to do things we could never have dreamed of in beautiful, wondrous, hard to explain ways. And that experience has really stuck with me because in many of the big decisions I've had in my life, it hasn't been my pros and cons list or my brainstorming or my mind mapping that has led me to that aha transformative moment. It was that random conversation that led me to start a TED Talk, or that phone call that helped me realize it was time to start a book. It was that incredible discussion, that random meeting that someone had with me that made me realize, let's kick off something in Canada. Like, these are the moments that I rely on nowadays to actually make decisions. I use my rational brain to get there once I know where I'm heading, but I often detect my meaning rather than create it, and that makes all the difference, at least to me. So if you're facing a big decision in life, like my friend who was asking about their business and whether they should continue or not, I can't answer your questions, but I encourage you to use emotional, spiritual Kairos data, not just rational, logical information. And I like Anne-Laure Lecomte's framework from Tiny Experiments that you can either, in her terms, persist, pause, or pivot. In my terms, for a big decision, I would either persist, I would pivot, or I would pull out. So let me quickly explain your three options and how you might make that decision. So persist is about continuing. There have been lots of times in my life where I've just done tough stuff. I've been in the middle of a project. I've been trying to write a book. I've been stuck in this really complex relational dilemma and I just want to run. And yet, when I reflect, when I make space, when I look for the Kairos, the sense I have is persist. Don't change anything. Tough it out. Show up at your best. Be the type of person that can actually get through this. And it's been the best decision ever. So sometimes it's important to persist. At other times, it's important to pivot, to recognize, actually, I think the general direction that I'm heading in is still correct. I have energy. It's not just a sunk cost. I need to keep pushing and investing into this space, but I need to do it differently. I need to set better boundaries. I need to communicate better. I need to actually be courageous or work harder or to actually change my strategy or tactics along the way. So sometimes you need to pivot, and that might be guided by the Kairos. And finally, you might need to pull out. There is a time when you accept sunk costs, when you recognize that the best way forward is to go backwards, to let go of that thing that I've put so much love and time and energy into, knowing that actually there's a time. And when I let go of that thing, it actually changes something in me and it opens up the space for that new thing to happen in your life. That thing that won't happen if you keep holding on and grasping to that sunk cost, that lost cause, the death by 1,000 cuts. Sometimes there is a time to pull out. So that's it. How do you make a big decision? Well, mind map, use rational decisions, talk to people who are wiser than you, share and understand other people's perspectives. So use your rational mind, but don't just do that. Acknowledge the spiritual, emotional, relational data of your life. Don't just live in Chronos time, live in Kairos time. Pay attention to that song lyric that might guide you, that random thought that pops into your head, that conversation that you have with someone that is like, wow, that changes my perspective. Read that book and allow that to shift your mindset, or simply have the space to pause long enough and pray and meditate to see what comes next. Pay attention to the Kairos moments, those significant moments in your life. because they can lead your life into a different direction. They can help you decide whether you pause, pivot, or pull out, and they can help you enjoy the journey along the way. I hope you found this useful. It's a bit different than what I normally speak on as a time management consultant, but time is not just chronos. It's not just what we do with our lists. It's not just about organizing and life hacks and putting in the right systems in place. It's about living a full and whole life, because our time is our life, and the Kairos moments are what you'll remember at the end of your life. I hope you can use Kairos moments to guide your next big decision. And if you found this useful, or if there's anything that stands out to you from this conversation, please leave a comment. Ask questions. There might be things I've missed out on. And please watch my other Kairos videos, which go into a lot more detail about how to walk the Kairos circle, how to process a Kairos, and how to actually make decisions based on the information that you receive. But until next time, thanks for listening, and make space.